everybody. It's a crazy day and a crazy life on a crazy planet, right? With crazy astrology happening. Woo, baby. And this is a crazy Pele-rapport. As you can see, I am not at the river. I'm not on a beach. There's no water. Oh my God. Yeah, I just got back to California. I'm staying at a friend's house. I'm on his front porch here because, time squeeze. You may all be feeling the time squeeze. I'm sure I am not the only one. The shit's hitting the fan around here, isn't it? Oh my goodness. So anyway, part of the reason that I give you the aspects while I'm walking along somewhere is that I have to read them. Oh my God. I can't remember all the aspects by heart, so I read them. But yeah, I think we all know what's going on here. The moon went into Aries this morning, at least here in California. Okay, maybe different for you, but... and we have the grandest stellium. The last time we had this many planets in Aries was in the year 232. And at that time, the Roman Empire was getting violently rearranged, and China was getting violently rearranged. And the empires, went through a war. And here we are with the empires clashing once again. The empire strikes back. Well, we'll see if the empire strikes back. Anyway, one empire is striking back against the other. But regardless. Let's get on to the aspects here. Okay, so this moon is moving through Aries, today. And, it hits Mercury, Neptune, Mars and Saturn, and comes around. And by Friday, a new moon. Conjunct Chiron, because the sun is basically conjunct Chiron, the planet of healing crisis, emphasis on crisis, as in Aries, Mars, warrior kind of crisis, okay, all week. But the moon is, so this new moon is conjunct Chiron. And then she goes void of course, okay, for, a few hours anyway, before she moves into Taurus on Friday. Yeah. And then she's going to move through Taurus and conjunct with Venus. Hallelujah. Saturday, beautiful moon conjunct Venus. No other exact aspects. But by Sunday, and again, this is like all weekend, Mars is conjunct Saturn. Yeah. So it's approaching now. Right now it's like, tomorrow it's sextiles Pluto at like 5 degrees. It comes up to Saturn at 7 degrees, and we have a Mercury. In the meantime, Mercury has been moving along. Mercury conjuncts Neptune tomorrow, and then Mercury marches along and joins together at that same degree of 7 degrees with Mercury, Mars, and Saturn at the same degree. All right? That is all happening on Monday, California time. At the same time, the sun is moving into Taurus. Yeah. Woof. Let's get that, let's move into Taurus. Okay. And then the moon by then has moved through Taurus and is into Gemini. And finally, by next Tuesday, the moon moves into Cancer. Got all those aspects? Those of you not into astrology, sorry about that, but whatever. Let's look at the interpretation. What does this mean? And I feel like this is a time where, like, this Pele-rapport, it reminds me of, like, in the movies when, the police captain has got all the officers in a room, and they're looking for the bad guy. And he's got the charts, and he says, "Okay, you go over here, and you go over there, and or the general, with his army, giving all the soldiers orders to go out on the field. I mean, this is we are in war, we are in the battle, yeah. Aries is a sign of the warrior, And sometimes life can be a battle. Sometimes life is a challenge. And we are on the battlefield. And when we are on that battlefield, we need to think fast. We need to be very awake. We need to be very present. We need to really be aware of our surroundings and make good choices. Right, and you have to think of your other soldiers in the trenches or whatever. You have to think of your family. Let's say that your house is getting attacked, and you have to really consider things. So this is the time. This is the time of action, but that action needs to be really done well. Like no stupid mistakes. Like don't start wars that you can't finish. We won't go there, but I'll tell. Well, that actually reminds me of today's Sabian symbol, which is for the new moon, and it's very interesting because it also, as you can see, I've used it a little bit in the mantra for this week. So let's take a look at it. And this is the symbol for the 28th degree of Aries. Yeah? A large audience confronts the performer who disappointed its expectations. The necessity for mature preparation and self-criticism. Here we see the tangible results of the situation evoked by the two preceding symbols. Great hopes, excited expectations cannot be sustained. The last symbol reveals the performer's state of consciousness. In this one, he is actually made fully aware of having promised to many elements of his own personality, as well as perhaps to other human beings, more than he was able to deliver. The issue is how to handle this situation. In one form or another, it is an often recurring situation in the life of an individual person. The manner in which it is met determines the individual's future possibilities of development and achievement. So, this symbol implies more than the need to be obsessed by potential and subjectively involved in the use of new powers. The objective results have to be considered. Saturn, Mars, Mercury, objective goals, objective results, and getting consequences. The individual is not alone concerned, for in a sense, mankind as a whole will be affected. What is required, therefore, is an objective inclusiveness of the whole environment, thus a sense of, in capital letters, responsibility for what one's actions will produce in people who have been made to expect significant results. Yeah? Don't promise more than you can deliver. I mean, that's the big message there now, isn't it? And, we see also that, the crowd is then disappointed. And we can see Trump's approval rating, sinking by the minute as this whole affair turns into even more of a mess. But that brings me to the point that, yes, I am going to do a full moon in Scorpio 2-hour webinar on Saturday. I think it's May 2nd. Yeah. And I want to go into, things that you can do, steps that you can take. It's like there's there's a lot that I don't really share so much on the Pele-rapport. It's just a weekly glimpse, at the transits and things. And I want to go into greater depth. There's also things that I am not comfortable saying, on the media due to censorship and, getting canceled and stuff like that. So this is a private, this will be a private Zoom. And I'll put the link for it in the notes down below. It's free if you're a student in the New Paradigm School of Astrology. So you can always think of joining the school. But then it's also available. Last but not least, there are 2 spaces open in Switzerland. I'm leaving for Switzerland next month, and having a small group where I'm going to look at your individual charts, and actually looking for a guy. If there's some men out there that might want to, participate, we've got one guy showing up in a double room. Just to get a little specific, let's get back on point. Okay, so what can I say? This is a time of big decisions. Saturn is consequences, karma, goals, contracts. And like I said last week, the moon is in a balsamic. Okay, she's closing, ending, finishing. Okay, so today, tomorrow, right up until Friday at that new moon, it's finishing. And even after the new moon, she goes void, of course, right? So this is like it's like this is not only a beginning, it's also an ending. And it's almost like, if you're moving your house or you're packing your suitcase for a long journey, you have to decide what to take and what to leave behind. And these are the decisions and the choices that need to be made right now, right? And you can be under a lot of pressure right now. Okay, what is of the past? Is this relationship over? Is this job over? Okay, and the other thing that they talked about here is your relationship to yourself. This disappointment. It may not only be you disappointing other people or your audience or your family or your lover. This will be when also you disappoint yourself. And this is where it really can be hard, right? I was going to break that habit. I was going to do this. I said to myself that I will never and by golly, sometimes we just don't meet our own standards, much less anybody else's, like mom and dad and spouse and kids and we've all got expectations laid upon us from the day that we are born. And so this disappointment, dealing with letdown, dealing with rejection, dealing with failure, this is the other aspect. Consider you are on the battlefield and you get shot, you get, wounded, you trip and fall and sprain your ankle. Anything can happen where you are disabled. It's like you're debilitated. And it makes you more vulnerable. And you can even get more scared and you can want to turn around and, run back into the foxhole or whatever, this is where we are all kind of being tested. Okay, this is this kind of initiation where even if you're disappointed, even if you're disabled, even if you messed up in the past, even if you can't stand on your own 2 feet, you got to try. You got to try. This is our calling right now. This is that, when times are tough, the tough get going. I mean, it's just like overcoming disappointment. And how do we overcome disappointment? I mean, this is a big trick. This is a big trick. Yeah, when we're let down, when we let ourselves down. And this is where you have to pull in Libra, the opposite of Aries. You have to pull in some Venus. And I think things are going to soften up a little bit when the Sun goes into Taurus, Venus goes into Taurus. Okay, because there is this need, okay, for gentleness. We need to be gentle with ourselves. If you sprain your ankle, okay, or you hurt yourself or somebody hurts you, you've been shot or whatever, it's like, you got me, and it might be tempting to react out of anger, jealousy, resentment, karma, I mean, just like, So the tendency, and this is the challenge with Aries in general, is to respond rather than react. Respond is taking in the situation, it's listening, and it's evaluating calmly. We have to stay calm within the storm. This is what the general does. This is what Saturn does. This is what, the boss does. Remains objective, looks at the impact on the whole future, on everyone involved, in the game, in the war, in the family, in your business, looking at all things, and really, stepping back a little bit. And just holding. And all I can say is, what I've been doing a lot lately is remember to just inhale and make your exhale slower and longer than the inhale. Yeah? Long, slow exhale helps you to relax. Okay. Now, you may be fortunate, okay? I mean, I feel very fortunate. I am not on the battlefield, okay? And I am not getting shot. And, fortunately, I have a bed to sleep in. I mean, it's not my own, but I got some food to eat. I got some money in my pocket, there may be, many of us, right? Many of you, especially in these developed countries. Oh yeah, the war's happening like way over there, and other people are getting, and the worst part about it is, the plane tickets are going up, and I can't, travel as much or something, blah, 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 blah. What we call first world problems. Many of us may have first world problems, and maybe it's not necessarily even problems, but opportunities, choices to be made, right? I'm looking for a house to live in. I got to get out there. I got to look at all these places. I've got to evaluate the pluses and the minuses and the costs and the location and so whether it's a crisis, an actual crisis or not, you may not be in crisis, but still, like I have been talking about, this is time for a new identity. This is time for a new self to emerge. The chicken cracking up out of the egg, right? The plant breaking through the soil. Okay, this is the time of year in springtime where, boom, the blossoms, begin to blossom. And that takes energy. That takes time. And that takes willpower. And the powerful, energy of Aries and the evolutionary intention of Aries If you have any Aries in your chart, okay, and you can look to where your Mars is located. The evolutionary intention of Mars, okay, is to have courage. Courage. Courage is the ability and willingness to act in the face of fear. To not let fear debilitate us, disable us, stop us, but to feel the fear and go forward anyway. Make the choice. And this is the other aspect that we have to think of with Aries. This making the choice, maybe you don't have all the information. Maybe you don't feel prepared and you feel vulnerable. Maybe it's just like, the pressure is on and you have to decide. This is where, again, not only do we want to do a slow exhale, okay, and a good relax, but then we also need to, and this is Aries, the adrenal glands, okay, is ruled by Mars and Aries. This whole energy is about trust your instinct. Just like the deer in the thumbnail. Yeah, I did catch a deer off the side of the deck this morning. She was pooping, but that was the only picture I could get. She stops, poops, and keeps running, and I... Oh, God. Photos are crazy. Life is crazy. Everything is crazy. Anyway, yeah, so to get back to it, but this instinct, I always think of the deer when I think of instinct. I think of, the animal world, the animal natures, where there's more at play than the tapes from our past and the fears that mom and dad put in us and the fears that society and religion put in us. And, of course, we're all dealing with these fears all the time. Okay. But the thing is, part of putting those fears to rest is tuning into your belly. Your belly. And yes, you can tune into your heart, but I'm going to suggest that with Aries, okay, Aries rules the solar plexus. You at least want to get down to the solar plexus, and Pluto, Saturn, Uranus rule the root chakra. You might want to hold your perineum, but get down in your body. Sometimes it helps to bend your knees, horse stance in Qigong, okay, to really get this energy, this energy flowing through your whole body. I just read this article the other night, last night, where they did this study of sitting around. And if you're sitting around, you have an 11% more chance of getting dementia. Did you know that? But not just sitting around. If you're sitting around passively, and actually if you're sitting down thinking, and you are mentally active, and you are engaging with life, you're engaging, with the world, okay, then that 11% goes away, okay? But if you are passively laying around with the remote control, and hanging out on the phone or whatever, watching videos, listening to music, this kind of yeah, it's proven scientifically now that sitting around is bad for you. Duh. Doesn't like proving the obvious, but anyway, just thought I'd bring that up. A lot of people like external authority to validate their inner experience, and very often this is what astrology does anyway, right? It's a means of validating our experience. So, I think I want to read the mantra for today, but I don't want to ignore that this is conjunct Chiron. And Chiron does have to do with our wounds, and it does have to do with healing those wounds. And very often, okay, like surgery or bitter medicine or, acupuncture needles or, healing is not always a comfortable process. And we can really expect and anticipate some discomfort, during this whole period of time. And, not only is, Mercury conjunct Mars and Saturn, but then, Mercury is still in Aries. It hit Neptune, okay, last Thursday. Monday it comes around to Mars and Saturn. By May 1st, Mercury hits Chiron, still in Aries. Okay, and and then it doesn't, and then it goes into Taurus. Mars doesn't get up to Chiron, or out of Aries, for weeks. So, we are still in this period, of, and Jeffrey Wolf Green, my teacher, he spoke about crisis, which is usually associated with Virgo. Okay. And he says, crisis, our subconscious, unconscious soul creates crisis. Understand, we are the creators of our reality, okay? Whether there's an external, whatever is going on externally, we individually create a crisis in our life, a relationship crisis, a financial crisis, a vocational career crisis, a health crisis. We create crisis subconsciously, unconsciously, when it's really time for us to make a decision, to make a choice. And the crisis puts everything on the table. Okay, if you don't go to the hospital, this is going to happen. If you don't take your medicine, this is going to happen. Okay, if you that's going to happen. I mean, the crisis, it's like it comes up, right? And in a relationship, okay, if we don't resolve, this issue that we've got, okay, then it's over. Well, I need to talk to a therapist, or we need a counselor, or, I need to, I need to meditate. I mean, things come up, that bring up our shadow elements, bring up issues that we have not addressed, we have avoided, we have denied, and we have suppressed. And these are the elements. This is Black Moon Lilith, right? This is shadow work, okay? And she's, definitely very active right now. And boom, raising up. So there's a super opportunity. Let's look at the opportunity here. I mean, this is a great opportunity to see yourself, to know yourself. Listen to the feedback. Listen to your own conscience, okay? And just like, trust yourself. You got this. You listen to your instinct. You listen to your conscience. You know what is right. We all, instinctively, intuitively, we know what is right. And I always say, it's like when people go on, oh, I don't know. I like to say, and myself included, but the fact of the matter is that's bullshit. That's an excuse. That's an avoidance. That is that, you have not gone and felt deeply enough within your soul being, because your soul being does know. You know who you are. You know what you want. You know what you hate. You know what you like. We know these things. And we may tell ourselves, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's an excuse. And now we don't have time for excuses. Okay, this whole energy in Aries is saying, no more excuses. whether you're disabled or disappointed or, weak or what, hurt or wounded or whatever, throw all that aside. You know what you have to do, and now is the time to do it. It's time to ride that ram, take it by the horns, and climb that mountain, baby. Oh, yeah. And the song for this week is, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. I've been waiting for this moment for all of my life. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. You know that one. It's a classic. Check it out. The link is always below the video. The link for Switzerland, the link for the webinar, the link for the song. I got all kinds of links. And then I talk some more about everything I forgot to say in the report. If you don't get my newsletter, that's the newsletter and the notes below the Pele-rapport are one and the same. You can just sign up for that newsletter, get the Pele-rapport in your inbox, and when I am disappointed, I'll take it as a sign that I need to be even more present, awake, and take my time. Don't react. Don't rush. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be pushed around, right? Stand that boundary, boom, boom, you hold that castle wall, and even though, the enemy or the, whatever, anybody can be, coming at you saying, God, we want this and we want. Boom. This is like Saturn in Aries, Sun in Aries, shoom. Let me consider and I will respond. There are very few emergencies. There are a lot of created emergencies where people make you think it's an emergency. You may think it's an emergency. Come on. Let's lower our own temperature, and we will lower the temperature of the world. When I am disappointed, I'll take it as a sign that I need to be even more present, awake, and take my time. Namaste. Aloha. So much luck.